We are going to pretend now that time has gone by. You now have a fully trained character. This is a different character, but for me, this one, if I click on Planet Management, I have the most important few. Planetology is high. It doesn't have to be 5, but it's high at least. In terms of building a planet, the resources on a planet, you really want command center upgrades to be 5. And then you can start with this at 4. That just affects how many planets you'll be able to place on. And then you can start the 20 plus day train for interplanetary consolidation 5. That gives you the additional 6th planet you can place on. But really, this one and this one you want maxed out, and then you can get started. This one you want at least 3 or 4. And then you can add planets as you go. If you do it in a different order, if you wait until this is not maxed, then you'll go back to any planets you have and you'll be adding resources to each once you have the extra ability to upgrade them. So I kind of just wait until this one and this one are maxed, and then I get started. And you can add planets later. But in this case, most of them are maxed. This one affects the ability for scans to show accurate results. It does matter, but you can certainly put that one off getting all the way to 5. Or some people don't ever do it. So I have the character that's ready to go. I am in a ship called the Epithal. You want to be in this ship because it is ideal. It's designed for doing PI. It has both. This is what it looks like. It looks like some of the other Galente haulers. It has both a specific hold for holding command centers, which you need 1 for each planet, and then commodities, which are the things you pull from each planet. It's a pretty large hold. You'll be able to hold maybe 3, almost 3 launch facilities worth, which is quite a bit. But the important part is this command center hold to begin with. In the system that I'm in, I want to place resources and start extracting resources from 1 temperate planet and 1 oceanic planet. And this gas command center is for another system nearby. But for this video, I'm just going to show the process of doing these 2. So these 2 are going to be in systems that I'm currently in C4C. I'm in the Epithal ship. I bought the command centers just off the market. Typically, if you just search for command center, and if you're in nullsec, hopefully your corp has these ready. But you can see there's a lot of different types of command centers. They have to match the planet you're interested in. In this case, I can buy any of them just directly off the market, usually for under $1 million each. So I bought each one. They're in the command center hold, and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to undock. Even if there's hostiles in this system, which is pretty common, you don't actually, this is one of the first mistakes I made when I got started, is you don't actually have to fly to each planet to place the command center down. So I undocked, I'm here, and what I want to do is simply on this keep star click stop. I'll become tethered. So I'm relatively safe. I mean, people could bump you off, but if you're on a keep star and you're relatively close to it, it's a pretty large bump range to get all the way out to here. It's not something you typically have to worry about. So I'm here, I'm undocked. I can go check the systems. I know that the temperate planet I want to go to, oh, excuse me, they're not in the same system I'm in. They're in one system away. So I'm going to jump to this system, GME. The goal is simply to get into the system where you want to put down planetary extractions, and then get tethered somewhere. And while you're tethered, you can do all the operations you need to do. Initially, all you need to do is put down the command center. After that, you can dock completely and do all the other operations from there. It's not until your planet is actively extracting and you need to go pick things up that you actually need to fly planet to planet. So here we have a Tatara. I'm just going to go warp within 0 on that Tatara. And while that goes, I could even be warping, it doesn't matter. I know that the temperate planet I want to go onto is planet 4. So I'm going to scroll on my list and find planet 4. There it is. I'm going to click on it and then click on this planetary industry icon. And initially you see a view of the whole planet as it is, and you need to place your command center down. In this case, I'm extracting raw materials to convert to P1. It does not matter at all where I put this command center. You do not have to build off of it. So I'm going to place it down anywhere. Missed it. There you go. There it is. It's placed. I'm going to hit submit. And then now I can build other facilities, but I'm not going to do that yet. And the second planet I want to build on is planet 9, an oceanic planet. And there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab it, place it down. It's very small, but there it is right there. And click submit. And close. And now, just to be safe, I'm going to dock up. Because while you're doing the interface for PI, somebody could bump you off the station and kill you. But I've placed my 2 command centers, so I'm good. And now if I open, so you can find the PI controls under industry and then planetary industry. Here are the 2 systems, or the 2 planets I just put down. Let's click on the first one, the temperate. So here's my command center. From this one, what I'm hoping to create is industrial fibers. So that's the P1 material. The P0 is autotrophs. So let's scan and look at autotrophs. If I zoom out, most of the planet is white. So this is kind of a heat map where this area like this, where it's dark, means there's almost no resources. And then as you get to yellow and then orange and then red and eventually white, that means it's loaded with resources. But if the whole planet is white, what that really means is that your markers for showing what is max and what is minimum are off. And you can see those right here. So right now, you can see the gradient from dark blue to white. And white shows as anything that's half capacity or so or more. So let's modify this so that way let's make the maximum a higher number. And you can see the planet change, its scan change. So this shows you really where the maximums are. And the same thing with the minimum. I don't really want to see dark blue as things that are almost 0. Let's make dark blue higher, closer to the middle. There you go. So now the middle is almost black and white is about 75% resource. And that gives you a better view of what areas of the planet you want to be building on. You can adjust to your comfort level. But this shows where sort of the best regions are to build. And you'll notice on most planets that it'll either be everywhere, kind of random. There's really no rhyme or reason to where the resources are. Or in this case, the poles of the planet are almost always empty. North Pole empty, South Pole empty, but everything else is sort of in the middle. So it doesn't really matter where you place your extractor. So this extractor control unit, that's going to be the thing that pulls resources off the planet. As long as you put it somewhere in the middle area, then you'll be able to always have active high intensity resources. You don't want to put it up here where almost nothing ever appears. You'll see some planets that are really everywhere, and you'll even see some planets where there's like a very thin strip right here and very thin strip right here, nothing on the poles and nothing at the equator. So kind of scan your planet first and see like what's the makeup of this planet of that material, and then place your extractor unit accordingly. So in this case, I did my scan, I set my boundaries how I wanted them to be, and now I'm ready to build. So I'm going to put the extractor, that's the thing that actually pulls resources from the planet. You can find somewhere in the middle where there's a lot of white areas. Let's see, kind of like this one. Not totally at the equator, but not near to one of the poles. So I place the extractor, and I'm going to zoom really far in so I see only the place where it is. And this extractor is going to, I'm going to submit. Oh, and the one thing I didn't do yet, this button right here takes you back to where your command center is. I'm going to click that. I'm going to click the command center. And initially, each command center has a certain level of CPU and power. These are very, very low. They're level 1. This button here lets you upgrade them to level 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Because my skills are maxed, this is directly what this command center upgrade feature does, or this skill book does. Since mine is maxed, I'm going to immediately go all the way to the max there, upgrade it all the way. Costs about 6.3 million and upgrade. And then submit. Okay. So I can now do as much as possible on this planet. I'm going to zoom back into my extractor here. Click on it. And when you click on it, you'll see what this extractor does is it has multiple extracting heads. So this extracting unit, you can drag these around anywhere you want to extract resources. Once they extract resources, though, those resources have to go somewhere, and they can't stay within the extractor. So what you want to do is click on a storage facility, and this lets you drag around to build it. I'm going to zoom really close. You want them to be as close as possible to each other. I'm going to put this storage facility right above or right next to the extractor. So as I scroll up, move my mouse up, you see how it gets clear? That means I can place it. Or it's highlighted in red, which means it's too close. You want to find that very close pixel. I'm moving up slowly where it just clears it. And I'll explain why in a bit. There. And hit submit. And the next thing you have to do is you have to connect these two objects. So right now, this is going to extract materials from the planet. They're going to go in here, but there's no roads that connect these two things. There's no magic way that things will go from here into there. So that's what these create link buttons are. If you click that to create a link, click on, it doesn't matter which one, but say you want to create a road between here and here, clicking on each one, and hit submit. And then you can see these little dashed lines, maybe if you look close enough, that these are now linked together. So items coming from here have a pathway to go into the storage facility. So I'm going to zoom out. And remember that what we're trying to get here are autotrophs, which are converted into industrial fibers. So I'll click back here, choose which extraction program I want, which is autotrophs. That one. Just click it. Now, you have to choose next how long do you want the program to be to extract resources. The shorter that you choose it, the more materials that you'll get from the extraction. But it also means you have to constantly be checking on this and updating it. Most people don't want to check on their PI even every day, maybe every other day or more. So I set my extraction durations to be 2 days. So 48 hours, just drag it. So there, now it says 2 days. And I'm gonna click every one of them on so I get as many extraction heads as I can. So in this case it's 10, and you can see they just sort of appear here. But if I zoom out, this circle shows the range of what I can extract. So I want to position each of these heads. Notice that when I move it around, up here it's this one. As I move it around, it shows how much materials per hour it will extract. So here in this empty area is like 90s, and as I get closer to this white area, it gets closer and above 200. So you really want to target those. This white area, 230s, this white area, 230s also. And you have 10 extraction heads, so spread them out. I'm going to put some here, here. An important thing is if you overlap them, see these little symbols here? If I take this and overlap those, it shows these big numbers. So 12% is being lost because these extraction heads overlap. So you want to drag them to where they're very close, but not to where they're overlapping. And simply spread them all out. You won't always get super white areas, but whatever the best area you can, spread them out to those. And these patterns, think of them like weather systems on the planet. They're constantly moving. So this shape will slowly drift some direction and change. And it's affected not only by just the natural weather system of the planet, but how many people are on this planet and extracting this region. The more people are extracting it, the faster this resource area will disappear, and it will appear elsewhere. And so that's why every 2 days we want to check the status, and then we'll reposition all of our extraction heads to be where the current hotspots are. And notice this says extraction per hour 50K, so 50,901. That's a lot. So I'm going to start extraction. And notice that it says that the output of it is not routed. So this extractor head unit is pulling resources from the planet, but the product of it doesn't have a direction yet. It doesn't know where to put it. So I'm going to click on this, the routes, click on autotrophs. That's what's being extracted. I'm going to create a route. So I want all these extraction heads to be putting their resources in this storage facility. So I'm going to click it here, and it's going to error. I'm going to click and then say create route, and it says it can't because the traffic is too high. These really are like roads, and this planet is so good. These extractors are picking up so many resources per hour that the road linking this extraction unit to this storage facility is not big enough to support it. So what I'll do is there's a couple ways you can upgrade the road. You can zoom in really close and try to click on the road between the two, like this. Let's see, boom. It's a little hard to do. There, I just clicked it. And this shows the link, which is a road. You can upgrade it, or the easier way to me is just click on the extraction thing. Here's a button here that shows which links are present. Here's the link to the storage facility. Double click that. You can upgrade the link here. There's several different levels you can upgrade it, but usually level 1 is sufficient. So I'll say upgrade, submit. So that road is now bigger, so more things can get from the extraction unit to the storage facility. So now when I say let's route the products, create route, click on the storage facility, create route. That time it worked. And don't forget to click submit to save. So when you're setting up your planets, all I did is go to the system, plop down a few of the command centers, and then put down an extractor and a storage facility. That's all. And the reason why I started that way is because you're going to need to build more things onto this, but to be able to send materials to each of the things you build, you need materials first. This extraction program is going to take half an hour, so I'm not going to get any resources put into the storage facility for half an hour. Because of that, I want to set this up for each planet and then wait until a cycle or two has happened, and there's resources in the storage facility to say, here's what you should do with the resources next. And you can't do that until you have the resources. So you want to get these cycles started as soon as possible, let this start filling up, and then do the next step. So this is the first planet. I put the systems down. I'm going to do the second planet real fast, and then wait until the 30-minute cycle is done, and then show the next step. Okay, it's been a few minutes. This extractor still has 20 minutes left to go. But while it's running, you can get the rest of your setup for each planet in place. So the idea, the flow here is that this extractor is pulling resources from the planet. They're going to go into this storage facility. And after that, we want them to be processed by the basic industry facilities and shifted to a launch pad so we can get the materials off. So that's what I'm going to do next, is create here this basic industry facilities. You can see from the description, this is how you produce P1 products. So in my case for this planet, that is, I'm extracting plankton colonies. What I get from that is biomass. I'm going to pull that off the planet with the launch pads. So let's put some industry facilities down so we actually can process these. I'm going to zoom in so I can make them as close as possible. Because remember, the link distance affects how much power you have. So set it down there. 1, 2, 3. The same way on the other side. 1, 2. Close as you can. 3. Do a 4th. Oh, sorry, not yet. So what I want is I'm going to put 3 down. I'm going to put a launch pad down for each side. 1, 2. And then another basic industry off of this one. Doesn't really matter which of the 3, just off of 2 of them. I'm going to try to squeeze out 1, 2. 1, 2. Now I need to link all of these together. So I want to really focus on the flow here so people understand. This extractor is pulling P0 resources. Those P0s are going into this storage facility. I want to create roads from this storage facility to every other item that we built. And remember, you only need to create one road between any 2 things. You do not need to create like a road, for example, between here and here. As long as there's a road that can be followed to get there, it will get there. You don't need to connect everything. So here I've created links between all these items. I still need one from here to the launch pad. I'm going to follow the same pattern on the other side. So that everything, link. So everything at least has, what's happening? Submit. this stuff's in the way. 1 second. Create link. Here and here. Here and here. Here and here. Okay. So everything has a road that is at least accessible somewhere, which is great. That's what you want. So materials will go from P1 to P0 here. Then all these factory planets are ready to suck up those materials. We haven't defined that yet, but I'm going to make it so that these 5 deliver their products here to this launch pad, and these 5 deliver their products to this launch pad. That will let me have enough time to fill up 2 entire launch pads before I have to visit this planet and take out the things that I've saved. So right now this is busy extracting. It's doing its job. It's 15 minutes in, getting plankton colonies. It's going to deliver them here. And I've created factories, but I haven't actually told them what to build yet. So on each of these plankton colonies to be making biomass. So I have to click on every one of them. Click. I want to tell it that it's going to create biomass. Hit install. Right when I hit install, it says select a destination for products. That means where does it want to put the biomass once it's done. And that's what I said. All the ones on here, on this side, I want to go to this launch pad. So I'll click that launch pad and click create route. That one's ready to go now. Same thing, click the next one. It remembers which one you click last, so biomass is already selected. Click install that launch pad, create route, and you keep doing that for every one. Then this side, same thing, biomass, install, but they're going to go to this launch pad instead. There's certainly a lot of clicking when you're setting up PI. And I'm going to save. So now I have an extractor running, going to storage. I have these factories who know what to create now, and they know where to deliver it, but they don't yet know where to get the input from. There's no way currently, unless CCP changes something, to say, I want you launch pads to get your materials from this storage facility. You have to wait until this storage facility actually has product, and then route that product to each one of these, which is why we have to wait for a cycle or two. So after this 30-minute cycle, it will dump product into the storage facility. Then we can say here, and we can click on each one and say, here is your input materials. So right now, if I click on them, it's saying input routes are missing. And it's because we can't create those routes until there's actually product in here. So this planet's set up. I'm going to say I saved already. I'm going to go set up the other planet that I set up so that everything is ready to go once these cycles actually finish. Here I have the planet where it's been extracting. We've set up the factories there. The cycle just ended. You saw the circle thing clear, and then suddenly inventory here spiked up. If I click on this, zoom out a bit, I can see that 400 M3 of the 1200 overall has been filled. This will happen every time, every 30 minutes. The harvester pulls PI from the planet. But right now I've set up these factories to produce things, but the input routes are missing. It has no input yet. Now is the time when this storage facility has input. What I'm going to do is I'm going to route input to every one of these factories. Here you have to be careful though, because if I route input to this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one, all the right side ones, and then do all the left side ones, that pattern will continue. So every time one of the timers ends on the right side ones, it will pull the next batch from here. And since all the right side ones are delivering to this launch pad, what will happen is these will always pull faster than this side. And this launch pad will fill far faster than the left launch pad will fill, which is not what you want. So when you get to this stage of having product ready to route, you want to be careful to alternate it between this side and this side. So that way these are pulling materials evenly, processing them evenly, and delivering them to your launch pads evenly, and that these should fill up at relatively the same rate. I'm going to show that. So I'm going to click on the storage facility, click on here to show what's in storage. It has autotrophs, that's great. I'm going to create a route, do it here, and hit create route. Notice that factory gets started. So I'm going to repeat that over and over again, alternating sides. So that way all the materials go to their factories, but in a way that takes turns on the sides. So that way at least it will be even. All the factories will get the materials they need, but they'll also shift their products into the launch pads at an even rate. I don't have one completely full launch pad whenever I check on these, and one that is relatively empty. Not very efficient. Great route. So I have all of them filled now. I hit submit. All these factories are now active. You can see from their timers that they're running a half-an-hour production. They have a routed output, so they're going to the respective launch pads. So these factories are now going, and they're good to go. Once you get to this point, you've done the work of setting up a P1 planet, P0 to P1 extraction planet. Good job. You just need to check this every 2 days or whatever timer you set. And in the video, the next part of the video will show you how to update and re-extract from there, because the patterns that we used here will have changed as these systems move about. So every time, every 2 days or whatever interval you set it, you want to reposition all your extractor heads so that they're at the current places. But I'll show that in a bit.